Rob?
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net, and we're continuing our look at the DC Comics Multiverse by Mattel, the 80th anniversary Batman wave, and also this is the Killer Croc wave, and the final wave that's going to be released by Mattel. Some people had said there's going to be one more wave left in 2020, but from everything that I'm seeing, this is the final wave. And each figure just gets harder and harder to decide who's going to be my favorite pick. I may just say all of them so I don't have to pick. This is a figure a lot of people, as I almost pull my camera over, a lot of people have been waiting for. Other than the Multiverse Dark Knight Rises or Movie Masters Dark Knight Rises Alfred, that's been the only the Michael Caine Alfred, that's been the only Alfred made by Mattel. And then before that was the DC Collectibles Batman Hush Alfred. It's always really surprising we haven't had an Alfred figure up to here, but I'm glad to finally have it. And not only that, we've got 4 versions of Alfred here. We have the comic book version, which, if this is the only Alfred I get, this is probably going to be the way I have him, you know, on my shelf 90% of the time, but it's great that I can interchange and do some different things. The only head I'm not really too keen on is the Outsider. That's the evil version of Alfred that would be the essentially butler or right-hand man for Owlman. It would have been great to have they already have the sculpt for Michael Caine, so they could have just enlarged that head a little bit more to fit the body proportions here, because I don't think that Alfred head is going to fit on this body or be in the right proportion size. I may try and see if I can make it work, because that would be great if it did, but I think it's a tad too small. Then we have the Alan Napier, if I'm saying that right, from the Batman 66 Alfred, and then we have the Michael Gaugh Alfred from the Schumacher Burton films Alfred. So we'll get a closer look at all those. I'll tell you what, this is just such a great set here. So, hey, there's Rob. So we'll get a much better look at all of those, but just a fantastic sculpted figures. So there's the side panel art, and I believe this is also from, this might actually be from the Tom King Batman run, one of the various artists that has drawn Alfred. So I'm going to try and find all the images that I can and where they pulled them from. So there are the other figures that make up the wave. Again, KG Beast, Katana, Alfred, who we're looking at, Red Hood, Dick Grayson Batman, who I am currently still missing at the time I'm filming this. So hopefully Paul Mart Store sends that figure right out so I don't have to try and hunt for it. And then Red Robin. So the read-up and the little bio here on Alfred Pennyworth. This is DC Rebirth Alfred Pennyworth. Butler, medic, soldier, friend. There's nobody more important to Bruce Wayne than Alfred Pennyworth. And then again, pick up all of the figures and you can put together the massive Collect and Connect Killer Croc. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get all the various incarnations of Alfred out of the package, and we will get a closer look at Alfred Pennyworth. We'll be right back. So we got Alfred out of the package, and guess what? Dick Grayson Batman arrived from Paul Mart Store, the last figure that I was waiting for my Killer Croc wave to arrive, and I'm very happy, and I don't know why I'm talking like this. More about that in 2 figures from now. So I'm very happy that I set up to do these reviews, and I go, all right, the mail should arrive sometime today, and I positioned it so hopefully the mail gets delivered at 4 o'clock here, and it is 4:21, and I was getting ready to hit record when I thought I heard a car drive by. It was the mail. So let's get this out of the way, and let's get a look at Mr. Alfred Pennyworth as I'm trying to bend down and put this big box down here. So this is a figure that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con with his little tiny drink tray. I'll get to that in just a moment. That they had him under a tarp, and everybody was wondering, I wonder what this figure is. I think a lot of us that have been collecting these figures for some time and knew that this wave was coming out, they had listed Alfred as one of the figures. So we saw all of them but Alfred on display. And the way they had it draped, it was like, well, it could be anybody. So they were probably making a bigger deal of it for San Diego and everything else for the people that like, oh, they're doing an Alfred figure. Those of us like myself that pre-ordered this figure, we were like, okay, unless the pre-orders are wrong, that has to be Alfred. And, you know, sure enough, it was Alfred. So everybody knows that he comes with a lot of accessories. The serving tray, the little glass you saw there, there's a Batman cowl up there. And then 3 extra heads for Alfred. He does have a lot of different, a lot of articulation for an Alfred figure that you would go, why does Alfred need double jointed knees? And why does he need, you know, wrists that move the way they do? So he can hold his tray. And double hinged elbows, again, so he can hold his tray. Alfred's not going to be doing any kicks or anything like that, but if you got a set of steps or stairs, you could position Alfred to be walking up or down them in a more of a normal stance. Now, some people are saying that, oh, Alfred is just a repaint of the 1989, you know, homage Joker. It's actually the other way around. Alfred was done first, and then Mattel was like, well, hey, we're planning on doing this Batman 80th anniversary wave, and why don't we do an 89 Batman and then the animated series Poison Ivy, and we'll do a Joker as well. So they just used the suit, and then I think the tails might be a little different, but everything else is pretty much the same. Obviously, the head sculpt is different. But this is a figure us Mattel fans have been waiting for a very, very, very long time. The only other Alfred to have come out before this was the Movie Masters, but I don't think it was called Multiverse at that point. It was the Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, Movie Masters, Alfred, the Michael Caine figure. I've got him just off to the side when we do all the head sculpting or the head swaps and stuff like that. I'll bring that figure down because there's a part of me, fingers crossed, that head could come off and go on this body, that you would get a Michael Caine Alfred, but I think the head is too small. But neither here nor there. So the only other Alfred figure, and ironic because another one is getting ready to come out, has been the DC Direct Batman Hush Alfred figure. So this has been years in the making, years in the want list to try and find the Hush Alfred. That's what everybody that has an Alfred, a comic adaptation of Alfred is using. And again, it is a figure that people have just been wanting for a very, very long time. Now, I got all excited when my my package arrived for Dick Grayson Batman, that I didn't have all of the extra pieces sitting up here so we could take a look at them. The 3 extra heads. And I'm having to take a quick look because I've opened some of these already. And this should be the correct arm. Yes, so here we are. Here is the Collect and Connect piece for Killer Croc. I'm even more excited that in one day doing all these reviews, I get to put Killer Croc together. But for you guys out there in YouTube land, are going to watch it over the course of a couple days. But still, really cool. So we're going to set that off to the side. So now we've got a torso, which part of me half wants to put these together, but I'm going to do it in one. We've got the underoos part, and we've got the head. So you can kind of see already, if I were to half put some of this together, this is going to be a massive, massive figure. So, Alfred. Again, so this has been a figure that has been long overdue for Mattel, and it just makes sense for the 80th anniversary of Batman that we finally get Batman's #1 trusted, we'd call him a sidekick. He's definitely a partner and a father figure to Bruce Wayne. Now we've got 3 head sculpts here. We have the Michael Gaw. Some people say Goff, I say Gaw. Batman, actually the Schumacher and Burton Alfred, and boy, I mean, they nailed these face sculpts. I mean, anytime that says like, well, Mattel's really not trying, I mean, look at these face sculpts. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the Batman 89 homage figure. Like, boy, that head sculpt's horrible. What a crappy figure, Mattel. It's supposed to be that way because the Toy Biz figure was not that well done either, but I'm getting off topic here. So that is just really good. The glasses look great. The only other figure would have been great to have from Mattel is a Commissioner Gordon comic book figure. The Allen and Napier Batman 66 face sculpt. I mean, come on. That is done very, very well. Now this is the one that nobody's really going to use this. I mean, I guess if you have the Owlman from the Crime Syndicate wave, you could have the Outsider, the evil version of Alfred, alternate universe. So you can see there's some people are like, oh, that's some paint rub. I think everyone's figure is like this, and I think it's to show that he is putting on makeup. Could be wrong, or they just could have not painted it, but I've seen a lot of reviews and everybody's is like this. Maybe it's just a problem in manufacturing, but if I remember the comic right, I think he paints his face with makeup because Alfred was an actor. So this is the one I was like, yeah, that's cool to have. The Michael Caine. They already have that face sculpt, a little bit of extra tweaking, and we could have had a Michael Caine. Then you would have had all three versions of the movie figure here. But still, it's a nice extra head to have nonetheless. Then the other accessories, it comes with this little teeny tiny glass. A Batman cowl that sits on his tray, and it's, you know, there's nothing really underneath of it. You could have him hold one end of it. So that's kind of what it looks like it's just on the tray. And then the tray itself. Now, I don't know where my Hobby Lobby tray is, and I looked at the Movie Masters Alfred that I have directly behind me, and he's not with that Alfred, or that tray is not with him. So what I had been doing with that Alfred, I went to Hobby Lobby. It's a great place too. You can buy a really nice metal tray. It's a little heavy. So I got these little tea sets that can sit up here. I've got a teapot somewhere, and oh, there's the teapot. So you could have tea, which that would work really well with the Michael Gaw head. Another accessory that I bought from Hobby Lobby, and this is a favorite of mine, is a coffee cup and spoon. So that's pretty cool. So depending on the Batman you have, if you have Black Mask did come with, if you don't want the black Batman cowl, the Black Mask Signature Series came with this blue cowl, so that could sit up there as well. So let's take a look at the articulation for Alfred. We'll get into the head last because I'll start pulling off the heads here. Let's raise him up just a little bit here. So he has a crazy amount of articulation for it being Alfred, but you want to get a good range of motion to be able to hold the tray or to be able to reach and give Batman things. So he has the standard DC Universe Classics shoulders, the upper, well, mine's separated a little bit on both sides. I didn't really notice that till now. So I don't know if anybody else's is, if it's just not pinned in there very well. So be careful. So the upper bicep swivel, that's just odd. Double jointed elbows. And again, some people are like, why does he need double jointed elbows? Again, it really helps so he can hold the tray. Single bend, or double jointed, excuse me. Swivel at the wrist and hinge. He has no ab crunch, but has a waist swivel. So an ab crunch would have been cool with this figure, because you get him to bow a little bit if you wanted to, but still, I like the arms the way they are so we can naturally hold the tray. It has the new, actually no, this is the old ball and peg that some of the other figures have, like in the multiverse line. Upper thigh, hinge, double jointed knees, and again, the double jointed knees could seem a little redundant or non-useful for an Alfred when he's going to be basically standing, but if you're going to have him stepping up into the bat cave or something like that, he can do it a little bit easier, you know, as it were. Maybe he's resting on, this is a little too high, but if he's resting on something. And then he has a hinge at the foot and an ankle rocker. So I love the way the hands are sculpted so he can hold the tray, or maybe some other accessories like, I don't know, the Val Kilmer grapnel gun. Speaking of Val Kilmer, let's take off this head so it's on a nice disc and he can look way down. Again, to use Damien here, the other Damien that I have, well, that's a little too far, so we could scold Damien a little bit more. Whatever, Pennyworth. So he's got a good rotation. You can see the way the peg sits on there, so we can get a little bit more rotation. It's almost like he's going to get his neck snapped off. So let's pull the head off. And we were talking about the Val Kilmer Batman. That is so cool. So maybe we get the tray back in here. So you can kind of see on camera how to get this positioned. So maybe the tea set goes here. It's Vichyssoise, sir. It's supposed to be cold. Again, this tea set does not come with this Alfred. So the tea set can be a little heavy, so you got to rock him back just a little bit. But I do have the deluxe Batman Forever Val Kilmer. Sorry here, Alfred. Can I persuade you to take a sandwich, sir? I'll get drive-through. So I've never had this Batman on film here. His cape's a little rolled here, so I haven't put a book on that to roll that out. I want to put a little bit of water on it to get it to lay flat. But these two look really good together. And if it looks like Alfred is a little bit taller, yes, he is. Not by much on this figure. If we bring up, I've been using him quite a bit here, the Rebirth Batman, that is a little bit better in size here. So Alfred is a little bit taller, I think, to maybe go with maybe a NECA figure. Some of the figures have kind of jumped in size, and this Batman went back to a DC Universe Classics body mold, so he actually became a little bit shorter. So speaking of shorter, we'll do one more head swap here. We'll take that off. And let's put the 66 Alfred head on. And we'll bring up the 66 Mattel Batman figure. And then this is where this problem is in line with the figure. So let's bring up Dick Grayson, Burt Ward, which, okay, Dick Grayson, supposed to be a little shorter. Now let's bring up the Adam West Batman figure here. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So they're small. Now I have seen some people use like a NECA Batman, or there's a couple other ones that are out there that are the correct height. So a little bit of perspective, you know, you got Alfred in the back part of your set there, and then voila, you know, Dick Grayson faints. So it would work. Filming like photography wise, I mean, you could pull that off, and haven't had the capes all set up here. So it's great to have if you have a sized Batman correctly proportioned with it. But for me, I'm going to have him with my comic book versions of the character, and these will be great to have extra heads in case I want to do some other photography or do some other setup. You know, maybe if I saw another figure, maybe I will at least do one to get the Michael Gaw Alfred standing next to the Val Kilmer Batman. So let's do one more head swap back. In the comic book version, I love that he has a bald spot, which I think is is cute. It's painted very, very well. This is a figure that as a big Tim Drake fan that I am, and I was glad that we've got a Rebirth Red Robin in this, I am just about as equally happy that we got a comic book version of Alfred finally to go with a comic book version of Batman. And depending on what Batman you have, and here's the Mud Pack DC Universe Classics Batman, he will work to some degree, even though Alfred's a little bit taller, but hey, I think it works very well. Today we've been taking a look at DC Comics Multiverse, the 80th anniversary Batman wave, the Killer Croc, hard to say, Collect and Connect wave, and of course this is Alfred Pennyworth, and Alfred Pennyworth, and Alfred Pennyworth, and this guy, which is the Outsider. I just forgot. So, as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues, signing off for the BatmanUniverse.net, saying we will see you guys next time.